Sabrina Carpenter didn't just explode onto the scene overnight. This wasn't some lucky break or a random viral moment. It was the result of careful planning, strategic evolution, and years of work behind the scenes. Everything about her, the music, the image, the style, the performance, was developed and tested. The version of Sabrina Carpenter the world sees today wasn't born by accident. She was made. Born on May 11th, 1999 in Quakertown, Pennsylvania, Sabrina Ann Lynn Carpenter grew up with music in her blood. She sang so often around the house that her dad ended up building a soundproof booth in the basement, just so the neighbors wouldn't complain. By the time she was 10, she was already uploading covers to YouTube, chasing a dream most kids her age could barely articulate. That same year, she placed third in an online talent competition connected to Miley Cyrus's fan club. It may have seemed like a small-time win, but it was enough to get her noticed. Soon, casting directors were paying attention. She began landing minor acting roles, including a guest appearance on Law & Order, SVU. But her real breakthrough came in 2014 when she joined the cast of Girl Meets World on Disney Channel. She didn't get the lead role, but as Maya Hart, the bold, rebellious best friend, Sabrina quickly stood out. And even though she wasn't center stage, her talent was too obvious to ignore. Disney signed her to Hollywood Records and released her debut single, Can't Blame a Girl for Trying. Between 2015 and 2019, she released 4 projects: Eyes Wide Open, Evolution, and Singular Act 1 and 2. Each project showed growth. The songs charted decently, the visuals became more polished, and her fan base steadily grew. Still, despite the effort, she remained on the edge of the mainstream pop conversation. A recognizable Disney face, yes. A household name in music, not quite. But industry insiders knew she had more to offer, more than just another former Disney star. She had raw talent, real presence, the kind of potential that needed to be reshaped, reintroduced, and refined. This was the moment everything shifted. The industry decided it was time to rebuild Sabrina Carpenter from the ground up. "I was 12 when I signed my first contract," she once said. And from that moment, the long game began. Sabrina was just 10 years old when her journey into the spotlight began. She recalls, "I didn't read the contract. I was like 12. All I wanted to do was sing." At that age, you trust people easily. You don't think someone might take advantage of you or lead you astray. Sabrina didn't want to disappoint anyone, so she often said yes to things she didn't believe in, to songs she didn't think were singles, even to wardrobe choices that didn't feel right. But she was defiant, and without that inner resistance, she believed she would have lost herself completely. For many child stars, and especially those who rose to fame on Disney Channel or Nickelodeon, this struggle is familiar. There's a moment when fame plateaus and reinvention becomes necessary. We saw it play out when another young artist faced backlash for twerking on stage with Robin Thicke. "You know what I think it is?" she said. "I understand the business I'm in. I'm in the record business. When I sign a contract, I know I'm becoming a product they're going to sell." That's the reality. Artists often become merchandise, and with that comes an unspoken pressure to sexualize everything just to move to the next level. Even someone as bold and iconic as Lady Gaga had to undergo a transformation before she was embraced by the mainstream. This is what the industry calls artist development. At its best, it involves voice lessons, dance training, and performance coaching. At its worst, nose jobs, BBLs, and turning lyrics into thinly veiled sex metaphors. In early 2021, Sabrina's contract with Disney ended. She signed a new deal with Island Records, marking a new chapter in her career. Her first single under the label Skin sparked controversy, widely seen as a response to Olivia Rodrigo's hit, Driver's License. Lines like, "Maybe you didn't mean it, maybe blonde was the only rhyme," fanned the flames. Whether it was a direct diss or not, the song gained more attention than anything she had released during her Disney era. Around the same time, fans began circulating before and after photos. Some speculated about surgery, others pointed to natural aging. Either way, the timing aligned with her evolving image, a more mature, more deliberate brand transformation. Over the next 12 months, Sabrina Carpenter completed what would become her first album under Island Records, titled Emails I Can't Send. Despite being her fifth studio album overall, this project marked a new chapter. In her own words, I had quite a transition in the last 2.5 years. I signed with a new label, and I think I was just kind of coming into my own as a person. The album was met with favorable reviews from critics, while fans became obsessed with the standout track Nonsense. It quickly evolved into a fan-favorite moment on tour, thanks to Sabrina's improvised outrows that changed from city to city, like her witty Salt Lake City line. If you live in Salt Lake, how can you get alcohol on some days? You're pregnant. Happy April Fool's Day. Island Records doubled down on her rising popularity and booked her as an opener for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour, propelling the Sabrina Bubble even further. Her streaming numbers surged. The branding? Flawless. By April 2024, she dropped Espresso, which debuted at number 7 on the Billboard Hot 100 and soared to number 1 in the UK. That summer, Sabrina Carpenter wasn't just the girl from Girl Meets World. She was everywhere, showing up in cinched designer tops, thigh-high miniskirts, and sky-high platform heels. Her style mirrored her music, a unique mix of soft 80s synths and vintage Hollywood glam. As her short and sweet tour was announced, with Amari, Griff, and Declan McKenna as special guests, her transformation into a full-blown pop star became undeniable. Two major brand deals amplified the shift. First, a bold lingerie campaign with Rihanna's Savage X Fenty, followed by a sleek shapewear shoot for Kim Kardashian's Skims. A digital cover with V Magazine soon followed. Behind the scenes, Sabrina was cooking up the short and sweet sessions with three of the industry's most trusted hitmakers. One of them was Jack Antonoff, who explained his creative mindset. A huge thing I think about when I'm making music is, I don't care how many times I've played this instrument, how do I access that part of me that discovered it for the first time? The sonic identity of Sabrina Carpenter's album owes a lot to a powerhouse team of collaborators. One of the central figures was Jack Antonoff, the producer and writer behind Taylor Swift's Midnights, who crafted nearly half of the album. His signature style of layering bright 80s synth pads with live room percussion gave tracks like Please Please that clean pastel vibe. Ian Kirkpatrick, known for Dua Lipa's New Rules, brought his punchy production to songs like Bedchem. But the lyrical core came from Amy Allen, renowned songwriter behind hits for Harry Styles, Halsey, and Lizzo. She served as Sabrina's main lyric partner on the album. Amy recalls working with Sabrina in France, describing her as a natural songwriter with a quirky, spontaneous charm. She's always pulling these new things out of a hat, Amy said. She's a dream to work with. The result? The album soared to number 1 on the Billboard charts and earned a platinum certification. Even her previous record, Emails I Can't Send from 2022, began to re-enter the charts as new fans started exploring her back catalog. Clearly, there's a big budget machine behind her, stylists, playlist placements, branding teams. But despite the machinery, Sabrina still feels like the one behind the wheel. Yet despite the success, public misconceptions persist. When asked about it, Sabrina joked, "How much time do we have?" She acknowledges that one major misperception is that she doesn't write her own music. People think because I have producers and co-writers that I'm just sitting in the room on my phone, not actually writing, she said. As the short and sweet era hit its peak, her live shows reflected the same calculated intent as the album rollout. But with that rise came controversy. One particular performance during the Bedchem outro featured backlit curtains where a dancer lifted Sabrina's legs, mimicking foreplay. The video quickly went viral, igniting a storm of criticism, especially from parents of young Disney-era fans who felt uncomfortable with her now overtly suggestive stage persona. But Sabrina doesn't shy away from the conversation. She admits that over the past year, she's heard people joke, "She's just the horniest girl alive," in response to some of her bold lyrics and playful performances. Her take? "I'm actually a very normal amount of horny," she laughs. "And honestly, it's just me having fun. When I'm on stage, I'm just playing. It's not that serious." Some people online have started calling Sabrina Carpenter an industry plant. But that's a stretch. Sabrina has been in the entertainment world for over a decade. She's not some overnight sensation. In her own words, she said, "I'm just one of those artists that it took a few tries. And I don't even think of it as it took a few tries to be good or to be successful. I just think maybe it took time for people to understand it and catch on. But what she did next started a much louder conversation. To promote her new album, Man's Best Friend, Sabrina posted a single image online, and it exploded. The photo? Sabrina on all fours, held by the hair by a man. It was the cover photo. Some people were outraged, saying it was regressive, sending feminism back 5 decades. Women's advocacy groups criticized the image, claiming it glorified submission and catered to the male gaze. They said this kind of imagery is exactly what the movement has been trying to push back against for years. But on the flip side, many came to her defense. Some argued that criticizing a woman's choice in her own marketing is its own form of misogyny, that women expressing their sexuality should be embraced, not shamed. One person even quoted, "We are all born sexual creatures. Thank God. It's a pity so many people despise and crush this natural side of us." From a marketing standpoint, it was a masterstroke. The photo lit up every corner of the internet. The Disney fans were talking, the feminists were debating, the girl power supporters showed up in full force, and let's be honest, she got the attention of men too. Because, well, me see boobies, me like boobies. We're simple creatures. Suddenly, Sabrina wasn't just promoting an album. She'd ignited a culture war, feminists versus anti-feminists, empowerment versus exploitation. This wasn't just a promo. It was a viral, calculated, explosive strategy. One person who's been around Sabrina a few times shared this. "Every time I see her, I want to ask her if she's okay. Like really okay. I saw her performing in Ireland, and the very next day, she was doing a show in Kansas. That can't be healthy. I've been there. I know what it feels like to fry yourself just to keep up. Right now, the espresso is hot. It's trending. It's everywhere. But we've seen this before. Stars who burn too bright, too fast, and look back wishing they hadn't played into the image just to stay relevant." This is Celeb Viral, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.